know what's going on? Would you ever open up Roswell and let us know what's really going on there?
So many people ask me that question.
I know, it sounds almost ridiculous,
No,
but it's
it
actually the real question
It
I
sounds
want to
like
know.
a cute question, but it's actually, there are millions and millions of people that want to go there, that want to see it. I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
So you're saying you may declassify?
Oh.
You'll take it?
Well, I'll have to think about that one.
Don Schmidt is the author of and hundreds of articles about UFOs, and he's part of the team on the show. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Larry and Robin. Thank you for having me.
So, to my knowledge, there's never been any foreign alien material or a body obtained. So what evidence is driving people to believe that such a thing exists?
Well, certainly the preponderance of eyewitness testimony, including, sadly, more and more deathbed confessions, all describing that what indeed did happen was something of an unearthly nature.
They had like different saucer crafts. The very first one had the Roswell craft in. It was kind of crashed up, but apparently every alien that was in it died except for a couple.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Okay, I'm Judd Roberts of Roswell, and I was a minority stockholder and the manager of a radio station here back in those days. Radio station KGFL. Okay. And we got word of it with the rancher himself. Word of the crash. Oh, I beg your pardon, of this UFO.
Okay, first of all, the phone was ringing, right?
Okay, the way I became involved in this was started out in the early afternoon, around probably 1:30 in the afternoon, and I received a telephone call from the mortuary officer out at the Walker Air Force Base, Army Airfield Base. And he was inquiring about what would be the smallest possible casket that we could get that would be hermetically sealed.
We ran into is the very next morning, some friendly person, probably from Clinton Anderson's office, called us from Washington and said, we understand that you have some information, and we want to assure you that if you release it on this matter, because it's not supposed to be released, it's very possible that your license could be in jeopardy, and so we suggest that you not do it. And he said, when I mean in jeopardy, like maybe 3 days.
The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucers. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brizzell was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like.
I never did see the material. I talked to people just as you have.
Who did you talk to?
I can't remember. Can't remember at all.
He says that it was so battered that he was unable to determine whether it had a disc form, and he does not indicate its size. Ramey says that so far as can be determined, no one saw the object in the air, and he describes it as being made of some sort of tinfoil. Other Army officials say that further information indicates that the object had a diameter of about 20 to 25 feet, and that nothing in the apparent construction indicated any capacity for speed, and that there was no evidence of a power plant. The disc also appeared too flimsy to carry a man. Now, back to Taylor Grant in New York.
At that time, actually put out a press release where they claimed they had captured the real thing. and then 5 hours later they explained it away as just a weather balloon device, which still, as you mentioned, is the official government position after all this time. But short of the witnesses, it's one of the reasons we keep looking for the documentation. We look for other evidence, archaeological work that we've done at the site, and searching through the archives, presidential libraries, that type of thing. Anything that will keep pointing us and steering us towards the actual truth to what happened back at that time.
You better get a hold of a pathologist. I don't know whether you have one at the base, but I know you probably have the top pathologist, you know, something similar to those words. And I said, that's what I do, and you better let him give you the instructions, and then you better do what he tells you to do, because he's the one that's going to do the autopsy. And you don't, if it's this sensitive, you better do what he tells you. But I said, the only other suggestion I can make, that you go to Clardy's Dairy or you go to Sunset Creamery, buy all the dry ice you can and pack whatever you have, whatever the problem is, you better pack it in dry ice and then do whatever you have to do with it, because that's the only way. They tried to put it in the morgue. Out at the morgue, they had 2 refrigerated body compartments that we used to put them in, and then we would go out and get the bodies from there. But they always brought the airmen to us, but on the dependents and everything, we went out for them. But they weren't cold enough, and it became so offensive, they were afraid they were going to, we were going to upset everybody in the hospital. So they later moved them over to a hangar. And that's the last that she knew anything about them, too. The lieutenant knew anything about them. She didn't know. She never told me. She never mentioned any, no suggestion whatsoever. She just said the last she heard they were in a hangar, and that's all she knows. And we never discussed it.
I guess there are different types of grays.
So what did this gray alien look like? Could you describe him a little bit?
This one looked a little bit oriental.